thesis, not written. It's cool, it's whatever. I'm not even capping. I had more work to do this semester than ever. Things like these approximations of how life used to be, like I don't want it, leave me out of it because I want what I had or I don't want anything at all. There are a lot of question marks going forward in all aspects of life, I think. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of like senior year. It's just like, oh my God, what's gonna happen to us? Like very High School Musical 3, like very High School Musical 3. Hello YouTube, how are things? How are we? How are things going? I'm coming to you in a very zen, calm state of mind because I'm officially a second semester senior. What we're doing today is talking about the semester that just passed because I just finished my last final today and I just figured it'd be a nice time to review how a whole semester of Zoom University went, because this is actually my first time doing any sort of online classes with Princeton, given that I was technically abroad last semester. And we'll talk about the schoolwork, we'll talk about trying to have a social life, a little bit about mental health and how life has been at home. And then we'll finally wrap it up with a couple of regrets / things I would do differently. And then we'll also talk about plans for the next semester, which I'm actually very excited about. But before we get into this video, I'm gonna need you guys to like it, subscribe to my channel, already start to think about what sort of comments you would like to leave for me. Would you like to just rant a little bit about your Zoom University experience? I'm all ears. I definitely want to know how it was for you guys. Think about a comment to leave me. And I'm glad you're here, so subscribe to the channel. And I think that's all the housekeeping stuff, so let's get into this. All right, so first thoughts on Zoom University, the schoolwork. I'm not even capping. I had more work to do this semester than ever, or at least that's how it felt. Obviously, I'm about to graduate, so I'm being like very meticulous about getting all my like prerequisites done. I just found myself in some courses that were very much uncharted territory in the sense that I had never even like studied this region of the world. So what I'm actually talking about is the fact that the history department at Princeton makes you do like distribution areas. So basically you have to know not only the history of your specialty area, mine being West Africa, but you have to know like the history of all these other areas. Actually, to be more clear, they make you take courses in European history, you have to do American history, you have to do like pre-modern or whatever, but they don't specifically say you need a course in Asian history or African history. No, it's just like non-Western. So my non-Western requirement was completely fulfilled, but your girl had not done that pre-modern requirement or that European civilization requirement. So I found myself in 2 classes about subjects in subject areas I never even considered before. Those gave me more trouble than anticipated because I couldn't just be like relying on past knowledge I had or like research I had done for fun. Like with Africa, it's easy because I actually like Africa. I'll research Africa for fun. But if we're talking about those other continents, that was a little bit of a struggle. But I had 2 of those. Then I took an African studies class just for bands. And then I also had a journalism class. Now my journalism class was stressful, but then I dropped my journalism minor. Overall, I would say I enjoyed my classes this term. In terms of like quality of learning on Zoom, I actually think that it wasn't that bad. And that's why I'm really lucky. Given that I'm a history major, given that I'm in the humanities, a lot of my classes translated really well onto like the Zoom platform, I would say. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still miss the in-person experience, but it actually wasn't terrible. So I am grateful for that. And my classes were engaging to the extent that there were times where I was just like, I'm glad I actually went to that class instead of just like rolling onto my bed. I roll onto my bed after the class, of course, but I was glad that I attended in the first place, which is good, I'd say. Like, I'm proud of myself for that. I kind of wish I had like leaned into my classes a little bit more, but it's a pandemic, so there are limits to what we can do. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the regrets section though. And just like a little asterisk to the whole school conversation, I have 3 pages in my thesis. It is currently December 15th. There are limitations. I love my thesis topic so much and I'm so excited about it, but getting the motivation to work on it has been a different story. Luckily though, Princeton has revised its schedule, so we now have like basically the whole month of January off, which is new. And so hopefully I can take that and just chug away on my thesis, get it all done. Maybe I'll work on it in quarantine because we going back to school. Surprise. I'll talk about that more later though. Okay, so yeah, thesis, not written. It's cool, it's whatever. I'm gonna get it done. Up next is social life. Up next is living at home. Social life this term slash social life in quarantine has been low-key non-existent, but I am close enough to Princeton that I can kind of head into town every so often, and so I've been a bit intentional about like linking with friends more and more over the course of the semester as COVID allowed us to, of course, because cases have now gone back up, so I'm at home. But when cases were a bit lower, I did have some really nice just afternoons with friends, just doing nothing really, just spending time together. And I think the nice thing about this pandemic, there are no nice things, but one of the things I've gotten out of this pandemic is that I've really learned how to just like hang out. And that sounds bizarre. It's like you were a teenager, you're a young adult, how do you not know how to hang out? But the problem is, at a place like Princeton, I think a lot of our interactions are based upon like mutual activities or mutual goals. So it'd always be like, oh, let's study together, like let's link up to study, rather than let's just link up to sit in the sun and enjoy one another's company. So I think the pandemic has allowed me to do that a lot more often, which I really do appreciate. There have been days I've just gone for walks and literally just chatted, and that's been really, really nice. I think that's what I was really missing, especially earlier in this term when I got just really down and out. I made a video about that experience and everything, but one of the things that kind of helped pull me out of that funk was making sure I was spending time with friends, and that was like in-person time. I've said a lot that, oh my gosh, all these like Zooms and these fake little things, like these approximations of how life used to be, like I don't want it, leave me out of it, because I want what I had, or I don't want anything at all. But ultimately, the little approximations are actually better than nothing. If you're like me and you're kind of like, I can't really be bothered with doing all these like Zoom parties and Zoom meetings and everything, I really encourage you to go. I encourage you to keep going to them. It's better than nothing. And honestly, if you're just isolated by that, you're just gonna work yourself into like a really dark, lonely place. And also, it's gonna kind of make it hard to reintegrate into society when we pull out of this thing. And I say when we pull out of this thing, because we're pulling out of this pandemic. One thing I really enjoyed this semester were virtual performances. People are mad talented, and I had one friend do like, it was a play, it was the first act of her play, which I think is part of her thesis. And then another one of my friends who's in the dance program, she did a whole virtual performance as well, like a showcase. And so I really enjoyed those. Like, I'm a full-time fan, so I love going to events and things like that. And the virtual ones were cool too. So that was a big highlight of the term for me. Next thing to talk about, living at home. So because I talked a little bit about this in my stillness slash stagnation video, if you haven't watched that, check it out. It's here on my channel as well. I'm not gonna reiterate it all right now. However, just so I can touch on it, just for the sake of completion. Living at home this semester was like not amazing, but it also wasn't terrible. I really love my family, I love my parents. But the reality is we're all doing very different things in our lives. I think as a young person, it's nice to be around other people who are in a similar space as you. And so that's why I'm very much excited to kind of be around other students again next term, slash other seniors writing their theses. Some of my regrets are that I definitely would have lived with other students. I think it was a unique opportunity that I kind of missed out on, slash my friends and I missed out on, because we just didn't like get our shit together fast enough. But some of these people who quick found houses, were all the way in Australia, found a little chateau in France, like all those people, kudos to you. I'm glad you have the money and the foresight to make a way like that. Princeton really does infantilize their students, aka they treat us like kids. Like, there are barely any off-campus housing options. There's barely a grocery store in town. Like, parking is difficult to find. You don't really get to feel like an adult at Princeton. And if you do, you have to be very intentional about that, aka working hard to find your own apartment, setting yourself up with a car or maybe like a meal delivery service. And you don't get too much support from the university to be doing that. I really do feel like this idea of a campus bubble, especially with smaller liberal arts schools, is really, really real, because they don't actually expect you to be leaving that much, and they like to keep everything like very contained, which is an issue, and it's going to be even more of an issue next semester when everyone's invited back. But at the same time, I think it's going to be one of the things that helps the little COVID bubble that they're trying to create. I think it's gonna help it succeed. Next regret is that I would have leaned into my classes a little bit more. I actually took cool courses, and when I was cramming for finals at the end, I had to like speed watch all the lectures on 2x, like, you know the vibes. But as I was speed watching them, I was like, wait, y'all are actually kind of cool. Like this subject material is interesting. So I wish I had leaned in a little bit more, done more of the readings, so I could have been more engaged in the precepts instead of just like scrambling to do a reading so I could just say something in class. And I think those are actually my two big regrets. Don't really have any other ones. I probably would have done more like influencer / content stuff. I definitely had a period in this term where I was just like a waste man. Like I really couldn't / didn't want to do anything. So that's kind of just wasted time. But you know, gotta give myself grace because it's been a difficult time period, so there's that. All right, final part of this video, you guys. Next semester, what are the moves? What are the vibes? I know you're dying to know. I'm still dying to know, low-key. It's still looking a little up in the air, but basically, Princeton University has invited all undergraduate students that are enrolled right now back to campus if they would like to come. And I'll be over there. Yeah, I'll be over there. I'm moving back on campus for sure. Even before Princeton officially made the decision to invite us all back, I knew I would be living somewhere different for the spring semester. Like I knew I was moving out of my parents' house for the spring semester. So this decision basically just makes it easier for me because finding an apartment is not easy at all. And actually, now that I think about it, college is really, really nice because you're in a very cool in-between stage where literally all you're meant to do is just kind of like learn, find yourself, have a good time. It's actually such a nice time and I'm in no rush to start living my like best adult life. Actually, low-key I am because graduate me, period. At the same time, if it was like, all right, live an adult life, but also have the obligations of school and not be able to enjoy the full benefits of adult life, I don't want that right now. Long story short, I'm going back to campus, I'm living on campus, and I'm very excited for it. As it currently stands, I think I'll be living in like apartment style housing, which should be interesting because that means I'll have to like be cooking for myself and I can't just cross my fingers that my mom made something at like 8 p.m. when I'm starving. But aside from that, I'm really excited. They haven't really said much about how housing will be, and there's this crazy social contract that all students have to sign, but I'll do whatever, to be honest. I've been on lockdown, so whatever they throw at me, like, I'm good with it. It's fine. Last thoughts, yeah, like, honestly, my approach for next semester is really just, like, I came to write my thesis, drink wine with my girls, and finish this thing up. Senior year, / the second semester of senior year, is kind of just for the memes. Like, we're all just gonna be on campus together. Most of my friends are coming back as well. And we're just gonna finish this thing up. Like, it's senior year. We're graduating. That's mad. I'm actually quite optimistic about 2021 simply because I'm graduating. Like, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, at least I'll know that I have that sort of culmination to look forward to, which I'm very excited about, very happy about. Yeah, I'm not sure what graduation is going to look like yet. My guess is that it'll probably be in person, but very, very limited. There are a lot of question marks going forward in all aspects of life, I think. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of like senior year. It's just like, oh my God, what's gonna happen to us? Like very High School Musical 3, like very High School Musical 3. Yeah, 2020 has been a ride. This semester has had a lot of ups and downs, but I'm very grateful and blessed to be on the other side of it now. And I'm looking forward to the future. So that is all from me. This has been a rambly type video, but that's okay. I just wanted to come chat to you guys really quickly. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and be sure to leave me a comment. And of course, subscribe to my channel, subscribe. We actually have a problem on this channel where like 95% of the people who view my videos do not subscribe to my channel, which hurts my feelings a lot because I know you're there and yet nothing. Was there anything else I had to talk about? No. So I said the YouTube bits that I had to say: like, comment, subscribe, share, blah, blah, blah. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.